welcome back to the only podcast that's more awesome than even you are. I'm Travis, and today I have a very special guest. It's Hafu Go. What's going on?
What's up, man? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. We are just a podcast that tries to help you grow your YouTube channel, as well as every once in a while we talk a little bit about candy. We probably won't be doing that today, but Hafu Go is giving us a little bit of his time. I'm really appreciative of that. So first of all, thank you for that. I know you're super busy producing them videos.
Nah. Always got to make time for the #1 podcast.
You're exactly right
That's
about that.
More awesome than you are.
You have no idea. But anyway, if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're here to help you grow your YouTube channel. We talk to different creators all around the world, as well as give you tips and tricks to get your channel where it should be. So let's start with you. First of all, I'm going to ask the question that I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to podcasts, a long time listeners, we have people that have been listening for years who might be thinking, Hafu Go, what does that mean? What does that mean? What is that?
That's just my name.
That's just your name, Hafu Go?
Yeah, that's just my name.
So
man.
just like go and that's you? You're Hafu Go?
I am him.
That is dope.
I'm him, bro.
we need to thank your parents because that's like amazing. That's like the best YouTube name. I thought literally you came up with that. That's amazing.
No, that's just my name. That's my given name.
At least your last name isn't like Thort Swap or something where you have to change it to, because Go is like easy.
Yeah, it's easy.
That's amazing. All right. Well, let's talk a little bit about YouTube content creation, how you started on YouTube and everything. How did you start, and what made you want to start on YouTube?
Yeah, it's been a long journey. You know, I've been on YouTube for over 8 years now, and even before that, like I made YouTube videos as a elementary school kid just for fun, because I used to watch a lot of Smosh and Nigahiga, and they used to make skits. And me and my friends would try to recreate some of the skits. And those were my first videos. And I also did some lip syncing to Taylor Swift.
Okay.
Love story.
All right.
The lost arc of Hafu Go. Yeah, that's how it started. I mean, it just started because I always watched YouTube as a kid. Mm-hmm. But then when I took it seriously was in first year of university. That's when I was looking for a passion, looking for something to do. And I bought a $300 used camera off of Craigslist and made my first YouTube video. And I didn't even know how to edit. So I was watching a YouTube tutorial on how to edit the video and to edit the video.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I actually have a question about that. So this isn't true for all YouTube creators. I ask this pretty much on every creator. Is the first video that's on your channel your actual first video? Because a lot of times the answer to that is no.
I mean, there's some stuff before then, but nothing that you guys need to see.
See, that's what it always comes down. It's like, well, yeah, but no, but yeah, but no. Because the reason I say this is because your first video is like a kale video, or you're cooking kale or something. And it's actually
my first official video on this channel is the kale video.
Okay.
But there's like I said, the lip syncing videos. I don't even know where they are.
You don't know where they
are? I can't find them. I want to find them, but I can't find them.
Fair. Okay, that's fair. But I mean, even in that video, the editing and stuff was kind of at a level that a first-time YouTuber wouldn't normally have. I'm not saying it's like where it is now, but I'm saying it. You know, as someone who's watched tons of videos and helped content creators of all sizes, the first video never looks quite like the way you had it. What did you practice it? Did you have it set up, and eventually you think about what was going on there?
Oh, I mean, I made some videos for Facebook and stuff. I guess. Just for my Facebook friends. So I had a little bit of practice editing before that video. But it just took a lot of time. My first video took me 50 hours to edit just because I was trying to learn Adobe, and the Premiere is really hard to get started. So it was learning a whole new language.
That's incredible. So even back then, obviously the editing part was taking a long time. Were you storyboarding or scripting, or were you doing any of that for your first couple ones, or is that something that came much later?
No, I was not that sophisticated.
No, that's good.
You think too highly of the younger me.
Well, I watched a lot of the older stuff just to kind of get a vibe for what was going on so long ago. Again, it was 7-8 years ago, which is, first of all, I have a lot of respect for that because, quite frankly, we'll see some creators pop up out of nowhere and have tons of subscribers and views, and they've only been around for 2 or 3 years. But you've actually been on the grind for a very long time, so I respect that fact that you really went for it. What was it like for those first couple uploads? Were you getting, did you get a couple that popped off, or were they all kind of slow growers?
No, it was actually very demoralizing.
Let's talk about that. I think we really need. So I want just so you know, our audience are a lot of smaller creators. There are some larger creators that listen too, but a lot of smaller creators who are putting out videos they think are really great, and then they're just not getting views. Talk us through what that was like for you, and what that made you feel.
I mean, that's exactly how I felt. Like I was putting like 50 hours into a video and they'll get like 200 views. Or I was like, okay, next time I'll do better. And I was like trying to copy BuzzFeed at the time. I did like a coffee review video where I actually went to like 7 different coffee shops in my city, Vancouver. And that took like a whole day to film. And then I was trying to do all these effects and stuff. And that one took me like almost 100 hours to make. And it ended up getting like 500 views. So it was very depressing. It was like you put in so much effort, you would expect a little bit of something in return or like be rewarded for your efforts. But I think that pushing through that down and pushing through that hardship is what differentiates the good creators from the ones that never made it. Because it's going to be a lot of times where you put a lot of effort into something and it just doesn't pay off, but you just got to learn what your mistakes were and just keep pushing forward.
What pushed you? What made you not give up?
You know, I was tempted, you know, like I was in school at the time. I was studying in college. So I had like all this other stuff I could have done. Like I could have just focused on my academics. I could have just went out, partied. But I think there was something, there's 2 reasons. One is when I was young, I had a habit of quitting things when they got really hard. Like I would like try all these skills or whatever. Like I would try to learn something. I'd try like social media management. Like I would just like quit when they got a little too hard. And I had enough self-awareness to recognize that about myself. So when I started YouTube, I made a promise to myself that I will stick through it no matter what happened for at least a year. And I think that's what drove me because I didn't want to be a failure in my own eyes. I wanted to prove to myself that I could actually stick through this.
That's funny. I did a similar thing. I said I'm doing this for a year at least because we're kind of similar in that way. I don't know if you're familiar with how Google will come up with these companies and stuff and then immediately like terminate them, and like there's a website of like Google companies that they've closed down and canceled. I felt like that was kind of something that was going on with me, and I was like, I'm doing this for a year and I had a goal and everything. That's really cool that you went through that same process. So yeah. What happened at the end of that year that made you go, okay, no, I'm actually going to keep going?
I mean, nothing major, but like it wasn't like a video like really took off or something. I think it was just like a couple hundred views, maybe one will get like a couple thousand. And it wasn't like any major breakthroughs, but I was heading into a new year of college and I was going on exchange to China.
Yeah.
And the school that I was going to exchange to, it was called Tsinghua University. And this is kind of like the Harvard of China or the MIT of China.
Wow.
And they have like actually a lower acceptance rate than Harvard itself.
Wow.
Because there's so many people in China, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So as a kid, like this was a dream. And it's such a prestigious school. I wanted to like document the process of studying there and what that was like and what the environment was like, talking to the people, talking to the students and try to learn from them. So that new journey was my driving factor for keep making videos.
I love that. What was it like culturally? It's different there in China right now. I actually just watched a little documentary yesterday about like these street streams, these streamers that are like on the street and everything. It's a big popular thing.
Like when I went to New York, by the way, like a couple months ago, I saw the real life NPC on New York streets.
Really?
Yeah, he was live streaming, just doing emotes and stuff.
That's hilarious. That must be wild to see that in person. Like, wait a minute, I've seen that guy. I've been, yeah. But back then, culturally, what was it like to be a YouTuber on a college campus in China? Was that widely accepted, or was it kind of looked at weird, or what was that like?
So, funny thing about China is like they're actually like very advanced in terms of their technology.
Oh yeah.
So like social media was already a huge thing in China as well. Just not the Western social media. They were using like Weibo mostly. It's kind of like Facebook,
Right.
you know,
Right.
Facebook and Twitter mixed together. So like they were using mostly Weibo, and I would actually sometimes see people filming content on campus.
Oh,
Yeah, so
very
it was
cool.
pretty widely accepted. People were like into it, you know. I could like get other people, students and stuff, to like come be in my video. It wasn't too hard of a push.
So then, did you do any of your content on the Chinese social media websites as well?
I did.
Did that do well, or better, or
It
worse
did
than
really
YouTube?
well because
Really?
they like that like cross-cultural references, right?
Very
I can
cool.
talk as a kind of like as a foreigner about like Chinese culture, and then I can talk about the Western culture to the Chinese people as well.
So were you more popular on those platforms than like YouTube at that time, or about the same?
You know, at the time when I went there, I had 200 subscribers on YouTube.
Okay.
It took me a year to get there, so I was very
Wow.
proud.
Yeah.
And it was my goal. I was after 6 months, so that was my study period. It was my goal to reach 1,000.
Okay. I like that. I love that. That's
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. What do you think about goals? We're going to talk a little bit more about where you are now, but I still want to do this early journey thing. Do you think setting goals early in your YouTube career and your content creation career helped, hindered, hurt, or was neutral in your journey? Setting goals.
Honestly, I think it depends on the person, but for me, I think setting goals was really important. It was like, I think one thing I realized is that I always end up reaching my goals,
Oh.
but just not the exact timeline that I set for myself.
That's fair.
I think having goals is important because it gives you a place to aim for. It gives you like a vision for the future, and when you create, you can like look forward to that. I think less so about goals. It's more about trying to project forward and visualize your life, what it will be like in a year, what it would be like in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Like you don't have to set concrete goals, but if you have a concrete vision, you can like work towards that.
I love that. Kind of visualizing what you want things to look like in a certain time period.
Yeah. So, for example, at the time, really popular creators was one of them was Jake Paul.
Of course.
Jake Paul was actually.
You
Just
could
like,
argue that still today, but yeah, for sure.
well, he's no longer creating on YouTube, but at the time
He's
he was, like,
creating though, but he is
Yeah, yeah.
creating in his own way.
he was vlogging on YouTube, and he was
Yeah.
like at the top of the game.
Sure.
And also Casey Neistat and all those people. But I can remember like, I think Jake Paul said in a video or a podcast, I don't know where exactly, but I think he was saying like he spends $2,000 on a video. When I heard that, I was like, damn, I wish someday I could spend $2,000 on a video.
Sure,
because
yeah.
at the time I was in school and like spending $30 on a video even
Yeah.
felt expensive to me. Like buying all those coffees in every coffee shop
Yeah,
was
yeah.
super expensive to me. It cost me like $100, and I was like, "Whoa, this is such a high investment video." But now, like our videos cost thousands of dollars to make. So
Yeah.
I think I had a vision in the back of my head, even if that wasn't a goal per se.
Yeah. No, I love that. That's really cool. So when would you say, before we get to the kind of when things started picking up, I saw that you also did a TED Talk. That's kind of unusual for a lot of people. How did that happen? What is that all about?
Yeah, the TED Talk is like it was an interesting experience because I was through my university, they had like a program for mentoring high school students, and I was like mentoring these high school students, and then they hosted a TEDx event and invited me to speak there.
Wow. What was that like for you?
That was really fulfilling. I think I really enjoy the public speaking element, and I enjoy giving back what I've learned. It's the same thing with this podcast. Like the fact that I can share my lessons to a bigger audience, and maybe they can take away something and start their journey or progress faster. That's really fulfilling to me.
Do you do any of that now? Like, do you go to Vid Summit or VidCon or anything like that and do anything, or do you just are you still kind of in your own thing?
Yeah, I'm doing a lot more speaking this year and also a bit of last year. So last year I spoke at Vid Summit.
Very cool.
If you know that one.
I love Vid Summit.
Yeah. And then this year I spoke a few marketing events, and then I was actually just at the Google headquarters speaking as well.
Very cool. That's amazing. So let's go back to a little bit earlier in your career. Things started picking up. When was that, and what was happening? What was going through your mind during that time?
The way I view YouTube is I see it as step ladders.
Okay.
So basically, it's never like a constant growth
Right.
upwards. It feels like it plateaus, and then it takes a huge step up, and then it plateaus again,
Right.
and then another huge step up, and then plateaus again.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's how I feel like my journey was.
Okay.
So the first real breakthrough was when I was on exchange. I was making weekly videos about my experience there, and I think I got to 1,500 subscribers by the end of my exchange.
Amazing.
And some videos got like 30, 50,000 views. So that was really impressive to me. And then after I came back to Canada where I was studying, I started vlogging just to continue the school niche, right? I started doing these day in the life vlogs, and they were really popular. So one blew up and got like 50,000 views in a day, and it eventually got like 100,000 views.
What was that about? What was that video about? You remember?
It was a day in the life.
That's it?
It was day in the life of a UBC student.
Wow.
UBC is where I was studying.
Okay.
Because at the time, day in the life was really popping off. You know,
Gotcha.
like Elliot Choi, Sean Rizwan, Nicholas J. Like
So was
all
that
these
that
were
was
my
intentional?
peers.
So that was
Pardon?
intentional to try to do that type of content because it was doing well?
A little bit.
Okay.
I mean, a little bit of it was intentional. A little bit of it was just continuing the niche I was in.
Okay. Cool. So as that was taking off, what kind of things were going through your head where you think, oh, okay, now, did you know about doubling down? Did you know like what that meant audience-wise? What was going through your mind?
I mean, it wasn't that sophisticated, but I definitely knew I needed to do more of this. So I like kind of honed in on the college niche.
Okay. So as you said, and this is common for a lot of creators, they'll have this moment and then things will slow down. Actually, one of the first things I always say to a content creator who's having one of their moments when things are blowing up is, okay, you need to prepare for the next thing because it's going to slow down. It always does. 100% of the time it slows down. When things kind of slowed down and it wasn't continuing to go straight up, did that worry you at any point, or were you just kind of like, no, I get it. This is part of the journey?
Yeah, like you said, it always slows down after an explosive period, but your baseline will be higher.
Right. Yeah.
So I wasn't worried because my baselines were higher and I could see growth overall.
Yeah. So you actually were able to kind of look at, step back from it all and go, no, this is still heading in the right direction. Not that, oh my God, I've been canceled. Like all of a sudden things don't work.
Yeah, I think it's good to zoom out a little bit once in a while, just because we look at a 28-day period, especially on YouTube Studio.
Yeah.
And that has a lot of fluctuations, a lot of ups and downs, right? When you see a gray arrow in a month, that's depressing.
Yeah, that's terrible.
But I look at my year-long statistics from time to time, and I'll tell you this, Travis.
Yeah.
I've never had a year where I didn't grow faster.
Let's go. I love that.
I never had a gray arrow on a yearly.
On a year. That's
Yeah.
such a clutch thing to say, because it is more about, because we actually get people that email in. We do like these, we have people email in and we answer their questions on the podcast. And we hear a lot of the, oh, I did this great video and it did well, but now everything seems to be dead. But it's only been like 2 weeks. And it's like, no, it's more than this 2 weeks. It's not this. Don't let the YouTube 1 of 10 thing make you think that that's your entire career. It's like, you're going to have a ton of 10 of 10s. But
Yeah,
over
you gotta
time,
like zoom out a little bit.
Yeah.
You know? Take perspective. Like look on a yearly basis. The trajectory, if it's upward, then you don't need to worry, right?
I love that. That's so clutch. Now you were doing, like you said, a year in the life of college student thing, but of course, at some point, hopefully, you graduate college. So you know you can't do that forever. What was the pivot? How did you pivot? What did you like? How did that process? Take us through. I'm doing the day in the life of college stuff, but I need to do something else. Take us through that whole thing.
That was a life crisis moment for me.
Talk us through it. I love that. I'm hooked. I need to hear this. Tell me.
Well, it was my whole identity. College vlogging, YouTube, studying, like all that was my entire identity. And I could sense the end of it as I was like nearing the last year. Because I'm like, okay, what do I do next, right? Like, I don't think my audience will like anything. Because like they care about you to a certain extent, but they care more about like you being in that college environment. So they want to like project themselves onto you. So if you are no longer in that college environment, they have no reason to watch you. And I've seen other people in my niche do different types of transitions.
Okay.
So some people they focus more on like street interviews.
Yes.
They started interviewing college students and then they focused more on street interviews. Okay, that was the transition. Some people focus on vlogging, just like vlogging your daily life. And I was thinking about my own transition, and I personally didn't want to do the vlogging aspect of it.
Okay.
So I did like more productivity videos right away because it was kind of related to the niche.
Okay.
But then COVID hit, and I couldn't travel anywhere because the series that was doing the best for me at the time was a campus tour series. So that was actually my next step, right? I was gonna finish college and I was gonna tour all these like Ivy League campuses and interview the students and get like study tips and like maybe show some of the student life on each of these like Ivy League campuses. Mm-hmm. I did like 4, but COVID hit, couldn't travel. I was stuck in my room and I was like, what do I do? So I transitioned to productivity.
Okay.
And then I did productivity for like 10 videos and I got so bored. Like I was like, how much productivity can you talk about, right? Like at a certain point, you just gotta do your work, man.
Right. I love it.
You trying to optimize every single minute is wasting more time
than
if you just go and did the work.
Yeah, you're just speaking truth. Go ahead.
So I was like really burnt out and I didn't make videos for 3-4 months.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in that time, I was doing a bit of soul searching, just trying to like figure out like, hey, what do I want to do next? Because for YouTube, I feel like it's so connected with who you are as a person. Like the type of content you make is so connected to who you are as a person. So when you're brainstorming new content, it's almost like you're trying to reinvent yourself and you're trying to go through this journey of self-discovery. So that's why it took so long, because I wasn't just thinking about content, I was thinking about me as a person. And eventually, I landed on this thing that I've always wanted to try, which is I, as a kid, loved watching Kung Fu movies.
I did too. I met Jackie Chan. Interviewed him.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah. I just did a collab with Karate Kid, the new Karate Kid.
Yeah, the one that's coming out. I'm going to check it out. Yeah.
With Ben Wong. But anyway, so I loved Kung Fu movies as a kid. Mm-hmm. I wanted to train with a Shaolin monk because that's like the stem of
I love that.
Kung Fu, right?
Yeah.
That was something that I've always wanted to do.
Okay.
And I was just like thinking about all these type of content directions, and the Shaolin monk direction really stuck out to me. It was like a super ambitious project.
Absolutely.
I didn't know how I would do it. It's completely different than college stuff, but it just stuck out to me as like a good piece of content.
Okay.
And yeah, so I was like working on that. I was kind of just like architecting the storyline. I was trying to make it like super viral. And eventually, somehow, one of my friends introduced me to a Shaolin monk.
What are the chances of that? Who has friends that know Shaolin monks?
Well, like I said it in a Q&A video. Like people were asking me like, oh, what's a video you've always wanted to make but haven't? And then one of my friends saw the video and just reached out to me. It was amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, I found a Shaolin monk and we made this 6-part documentary series of me training to be a Shaolin monk.
Wow. And then that's where things were like, now this is.
And that's where things really took off because at the time after I graduated, I think I was about like 200K subscribers.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And then I made this Shaolin monk series and it doubled to 500K.
You were cooking then, huh?
Yeah, it didn't hit right away because my transition from productivity to Kung Fu was instant, and the audience was like, "What the heck?
What's going on?" Yeah.
Like this makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
And it took The first video I published on Shaolin monks, it's at 9 million views right now.
Jeez. Yeah.
But when I first uploaded, it was like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah. And it just sat there for a
It
while.
took 3 months for it to find the right audience.
I love that. It never gave up.
Because it was good content,
Yeah.
right? YouTube, I love YouTube because if you make a good piece of content, it will find the right audience eventually.
This is a really interesting piece of information you're sharing because we're actually going to do an episode on pivoting in the coming weeks. And what you're saying here is so important because pivoting can be very scary. Especially if you had any type of success previous to pivoting and you're just done with it. Because I'm kind of in that space, Jen's in a space, and we talked to a lot of creators in that space where it's like, okay, I've done that thing. I'm not really interested in it. The next thing is slightly different. And then there's always this question of creating another channel or pivoting on your own channel. Now, we're still going through your process of where you are now, but let's skip ahead a little bit. Knowing what you know now, would you have told yourself, generally speaking, to have pivoted or to on a new channel or to have done what you did, which is keep it on your main channel? It seems like it's no brainer to keep it on your main channel, but you see a lot of channels now that pop up with like really good videos, the first 3 or 4, and they get like hundreds of thousands of views right off the bat. What are your thoughts now?
I probably wouldn't have done the exact strategy I did back then.
Interesting.
Where I just completely 180'd on my audience.
What would you do now?
I would pivot more slowly.
Yeah, interesting.
I would try to have transitional videos in between.
I've literally, I call it wedging. I've been talking about this for years. Yeah. No, talk to us. Speak it. I love it.
Yeah, because it's confusing both from an algorithm perspective and an audience perspective. When you upload something that's completely unrelated. I mean, it worked out for me, but like it was to the detriment. Like my strategy was detrimental to the success. It wasn't complementing the success.
Interesting.
So I would suggest you like, hey, let's say I wanted to do the Kung Fu thing.
Yeah.
Right? I wanted to upload that series. And I was currently in the productivity niche. Then maybe, I'm just thinking at the top of my head, like maybe I would interview different productivity experts. And then that could be like a transition. And eventually I get into more like personal development. And then eventually I interview the monk about their personal development. And then that transitions me into the monk sphere.
Right.
And then I can go into the training Kung Fu. Right?
Yeah.
So like there's definitely smarter ways I could have done it. I was a little barbaric. I was just like, you know what? YOLO.
YOLO, baby, let's get it. I love that. This is the thing I've been explaining for a long time. People have heard me use the term wedging. He just explained it probably better than I could have. All right, let's talk a little bit more about kind of more currently where you are. What are your thoughts, generally speaking, on YouTube Shorts? We definitely have thoughts here on the podcast, but I'd love to hear what are your thoughts on YouTube Shorts? What do you use them for? What are your expectations in making a short? And what's the strategy behind it?
YouTube Shorts are undoubtedly the fastest way to grow on the platform right now.
Right.
And when YouTube Shorts first came out, everybody was hating on Shorts.
Right.
They were like, it's going to split your audience. You're going to get no views. It's going to like basically destroy your channel if you started uploading shorts on your main channel.
Right.
And I just kind of took a look at that and I saw shorts as an opportunity instead of like a thing to avoid.
Okay.
So I dove like head in when shorts first came out. I was like, all right, we're going to try to figure out shorts and really, really like hone in on that.
Okay.
And in the beginning, it was complete white space because nobody was focusing energy on shorts. They were just transporting content from other platforms. So like we made content dedicated to shorts. And the first video that I made specifically for shorts, instead of reformatting long form videos, the first video that I made specifically for shorts, it got 50 million views within a week.
Wow.
And that growth was something that I've never seen before. Throughout like my years of uploading on YouTube, 50 million views in a week, never seen that before.
Insane. And what was the impact on your overall channel? Did that change anything, or was it just kind of helped your shorts, your future shorts, get traction faster?
So in the beginning, it was like split, right? Like it was like you had like a shorts traffic and then you had a long form traffic. They weren't really correlated.
Yeah.
But I kind of viewed it as a investment strategy. It's kind of like a hedge because if at some point YouTube as a platform figures out how to bridge the gap between short form and long form, then I have this audience I can leverage to push into long form. And eventually they did.
Yeah. Love it.
So it was like I was like, there is no downside. If I looked at the analytics, it did not reduce the amount of views I got for my long form videos.
Okay.
A lot of people were saying it did, but I think it was just because their long form videos were tanking anyway.
Not doing well anyway.
It sucked anyway.
Yeah.
Don't blame the shorts, bro.
That's fair. No, that's fair. I like that.
So like I just took an objective look at the data, and the best thing about YouTube is they give you so much data, and I saw no negative correlation between shorts views and long form views. They may not correlate like in terms of they not have like more shorts view didn't correlate to more long form views, but I saw that as like okay, there's no downside.
Right.
So
it's
I
just
might as
additive.
well just focus on this because it's the growth that you haven't seen anywhere before, right? Because when platforms push out a new feature, they're really likely to promote that feature.
Yes.
YouTube now made a dedicated button on the home screen for shorts.
Yeah.
So you're definitely gonna get a lot of benefit by jumping on trends early. So now shorts have evolved, right? It's been like almost 3 years, I don't know, 3-4 years since shorts came out. And now there's a lot more creators putting in a lot of effort. Like Mr. Beast is doing shorts and he's spending like thousands, hundreds, like tens of thousands of dollars on each short form video. So there's a lot more competition. But I would still say there's opportunity there. There's still white space there for people to come in.
Interesting.
Shorts is like the #1 way for discovery.
You seem pretty passionate about it. I love that. I love to hear that. Let's talk about some other aspects of creation you may or may not be passionate about. I'd love to hear this. Let's talk about the thumbnail process. Obviously, you have some banger thumbnails. How does that work?
I mean, you don't have a video until you have a thumbnail.
I'm glad you said that. Do you already have the thumbnail and title figured out before you shoot your video, or where is that in the process?
Yes.
Okay, good.
I would say the biggest change I made that blew up my channel is really, really being stringent on that rule where we have to figure out the packaging before we upload.
I totally agree on this. So how long does it take you to do like I assume you have a team that does thumbnails and stuff. How long does the process go from like the idea to the end goal, the end result of the thumbnail now?
It varies, but like maybe like a week or so.
Okay.
Right? Maybe 2 weeks. It depends on the thumbnail. We usually create multiple versions of each thumbnail.
Are you using A/B testing or no?
Yes.
Okay. Have you found that useful?
Yes. Very useful.
Some people
I was doing it before just manually.
Yeah, just going back for sure. And is this one of the parts you like? Do you like helping out with the thumbnail process? Do you do the thumbnails yourself? Like how does that process work?
Yes, I am very involved in the creative process for thumbnails and the idea itself. Because as I level up as a creator, there's like people that work for me now. I have to think about like what my role in the company is, right? And where I can have the most leverage with my time. And the thought I had is the earlier I can get involved in the creative process, the more leverage that time has. Because like if it's in the idea phase, like one little change to the idea can drastically impact the views. And one little change to the thumbnail concept can have really outsized impact on the performance of the video. So I am very involved in that process. But the later it gets into the process, for example, like let's say scripting or whatever, it's like, yeah, scripting a scene might be cool, but like it's not going to impact the views dramatically.
editing does, though. So how in depth are you on that, and like how involved are you in that, and is that something that takes a long? Because you were talking about before you were doing like 100 hour and stuff. Like where are we at now?
Yeah, I have editors that work for me. I still review the video. So like I try to like review at the beginning. I try to review at every stage, but it's most importantly for me to review at the beginning where like the ideas and the thumbnails, and important for me to review like the final version of the edit.
And how often at the end are you like, we just need to change so much of this? Or is it normally like you have a team that is so in tune with your vision now that you don't have to do that, or is it still a lot of like push back and forth?
We most of the time don't have to change the video dramatically because that's like a lot of wasted effort. Like I think in the beginning when I first started, when I was filming by myself, editing by myself, I would kind of just YOLO the shoot. I would maybe think of the idea like in the shower, and then I'll go out and film, and then I'll be like, okay, I'll figure it out in the edit.
Okay, yeah.
But that was so much work. Like sometimes like the edit just didn't turn out how I wanted it to, and then I have to like figure out, okay, what is the storyline here? Like it just took so many hours. And over time I found the more time I put into pre-production, the easier my editing was.
Interesting. No, that makes a lot
So
of sense.
now we try to plan the video out completely, scene by scene, before we even start filming. So every piece of content that we film will make it into the edit.
That's awesome. All right, we're gonna go into the last section here. I'm gonna do some shotgun questions here in a minute, but I just want to tell you like a couple of videos that I watched that I really like, and mainly because they are things that I personally enjoy. The RC cars one actually was heavy, and still kind of I'm into RC cars now. So I saw you actually one of the cars at the end, the black one, is one of the ones I wanted to buy last year, but I'm like, I think it's so expensive, so amazing though. It's fine. I think like 70, 80 miles an hour. You're burning out tires every 3 minutes. Like I wanted that car, and to see you drive around, have fun with it, seemed like it was just a lot of fun. And I was a former magician, so the magic episode I just watched recently was
No
really
way.
fun. Yeah. So what was it like doing those? Because those are just like, it's like you're just playing. It seems like the most fun ever. Like, what kind of a job is this? You're just playing around, you're watching magic tricks, learning magic, and driving RC cars. What is that like now?
I mean, the one thing that we try to keep on the channel is we have an element of learning in every single video.
Okay.
And these like fun hobbies are like really great way for people to like kind of dip their toes into what it takes to do the hobby, the fun parts of the hobby, and maybe like learn some life lessons as well. So I really love doing those type of videos.
And there's, like you say, learning a lot. There's a lot of science and stuff you're doing now, and kind of teaching and stuff. Is that kind of what you would elevator pitch to someone who's never heard of you or never seen you before? You go, this is what my channel's about. It's about teaching in a fun way science or something?
Yeah, I would just say we showcase science, tech, and innovations in the world in a fun way.
All right, we got some questions here. I think these are going to be kind of fun, mainly because most people don't ask these questions in like when you do podcasts or interviews. I like to try to do things that are different. Have you ever unlisted or deleted a video on your channel? On this channel?
Yeah, I mean some stuff that just didn't align with the content right now. So
was it older stuff, or was it kind of even like in the last 2-3 years?
Some mostly older stuff.
And it was like algorithmic reasons because it's not who your current audience is?
No, it's just kind of like, I mean, those videos weren't getting that many views in real time anyway, so I don't think it affected the algorithm. But it's just more of like a branding perspective.
Okay.
When someone comes to your channel, if you have like videos on 10 different topics, like what can they expect, right? So I just privated some videos where it's no longer related. But like you can still see a distinct transition between my college days and what I'm doing now.
What is the favorite video you've ever done?
I think the Shaolin series was really fun. It was something that I planned out for like months. And I'm really glad that it turned out the way it did because it's kind of like the modern day Karate Kid. Yeah.
Would you do an updated version of that now since you liked it so much, or is that something that you think you're probably past?
I think maybe it's not
like a different twist on it or something.
I'm not gonna count it out.
All right, that's fair. Which video did you think when you made it was going to do really well, but it didn't? Was there one you can think of? Like you're like, oh, this is gonna be a banger, and you're like, it didn't really hit the way I wanted it to.
Not I don't know. Let me see.
And everything's relative, right? So your non-banger could be a banger for someone else. But in your mind,
I mean, I think in the beginning I had more of an expectation.
Oh, do you not have expectations now?
Well, I mean, I have expectations now, but they're like more met on a regular basis.
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. That's great.
In the beginning, I had expectations that weren't met. So
right, okay. Yeah. No, I think that's really important to have because, like, if you have these expectations that aren't met on a regular basis, then it definitely is a demoralizing kind of thing to go through, which you were talking about kind of earlier in your career too.
Yeah.
If you could do one of your videos over again, which one would it be?
I don't think I would do any videos over again.
Wow. No regrets.
I think they were the best I could do at the time.
Okay. I respect that. Is there any videos that you uploaded, done that you kind of wish I didn't do that one? Like, you kind of like feel ambivalent about now?
Again, I just don't like to dwell on the past. I'm like, okay, a video did well, didn't do well. I liked it, didn't like it. I think I just like take what I can from that and just focus on the next one. Was
that always your thought process? Have you all, because a lot of people can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's dwelling on the past video gonna do for you, right?
Yeah, I think that's important, and I think it's hard for people because what you said earlier, and I think this goes for a lot of creators, is to put a lot of time and effort into something, and your channel and your videos are a reflection of who you are. So sometimes it feels like a rejection of who you are, but you don't feel that way. Is that what you're basically saying? You're like,
no, I do feel that. I do feel that.
Okay.
I definitely feel rejected.
Okay. But you're able to
dwelling on the rejection and the feeling of depression is not going to get me anywhere. I just recognize that.
I love that. Is that something that's always been something with you, or did you have to learn that kind of skill?
I think that muscle and that strength and the tenacity develops over time. But you can start somewhere, right? Like you get more unfazed over time.
You're like a thicker skin.
Yeah.
So for a content creator, we'll just talk to what our content creators now that are watching and listening, newer content creators that are in the space. I mean, you're in a kind of competitive space. If you were new today, what would be the things that you would tell the new Hafu Go who's just today starting a channel, maybe has 100 subscribers? What are the things that person needs to know now? Good, bad, and different. Like even the things like things are gonna suck. Like that's a perfectly valid piece of information. What would you say to that person, that creator?
Yeah, I mean, things are gonna suck for sure, but definitely push through it. I think just when I started on YouTube, everything was a guessing game. Click-through rate wasn't even a thing.
Yeah, right.
So. And there was so little information out there about how to succeed on YouTube. So I had to figure out everything on my own. But now, like, it's pretty clear. You can get a very clear roadmap on how to succeed on YouTube for free by watching your videos or just whatever videos on YouTube that's out there.
Right.
So I think the most important thing is just like be a learning machine. That's all you gotta do, right? Every source, every piece of content that you can learn, take that in. Every creator you can talk to, take that in. Every video that you upload, analyze it. See what kind of feedback you're getting. See the data. Take that information in and try to improve the next one. So your rate of progress is gonna be equal to your rate of learning.
Yo, that was fire.
So really focus on that.
That was fire. Okay, we're going to finish up with something I like to do every once in a while. So one of the things that the main vidIQ channel does a lot is we audit a channel. We'll take a look at a video, the first 30 seconds or something, and kind of critique the hook or whatever. We're going to do that here. I'd love for you to take a look at this video. This is it's from, I think, I remember what the channel is. We're going to do it. So
I ain't holding back.
You ain't going to hold back. It's going to be, I think it's like a 30-second clip. We're just going to look at the intro because it's so important. This was a small creator. See, this is an older video for them. It's called My 2-Year Search for a Perfect Black T-Shirt, which I think is a
Oh, that's my
content
video.
called Hafu Go, I think. Let's take a look and see what this
What
video
the
is
heck?
like. Let's see.
Bro's trolling me. He clickbaited me.
Have you ever wanted something so badly that you'd be willing to risk everything just to get it? For the past 2 years, I've lusted, fantasized, and chased after the perfect black t-shirt. Today, I finally found it. I want to share with you my story.
All right, that's like 25 seconds in. What do you thought of this young creator? I think they got a future ahead of them. But what are your thoughts on this video?
Wow. I haven't looked back on my older videos in a long time, but pretty cringe, I would say. Very cringe.
But it's ambitious. Like, I love, first of all, I thought it was kind of, for people who are listening to the audio podcast, you got to go to the YouTube channel to watch that. It's very intense. He's got it looks like a CGI thing of Kanye there, like a whole bunch of stuff going on. A red background with was this like in your apartment or something with a bunch of black?
In my mom's house of where I used to live.
What was the
My
idea?
bedroom. Instead of like a lawn, like a rope across, and then just hung like shirts in the background.
Where did you think of an idea? The perfect search for a black T-shirt. That's crazy. Like, what? That's an interesting idea.
I mean, that was like a genuine thing that I was doing. I really just love wearing black T-shirts. I now have like 20 of the same black T-shirts, so I did find a perfect black T-shirt. Because it's like black is so simple, right?
Yeah.
You just put it on, it looks good. You don't have to worry about stains. It's so simple. So I was like, okay, it may be kind of interesting to make a video on the topic. And I'll tell you this. Now there have been fashion creators that made a video on a similar topic within the last 2 years that got like a lot more views than I did. Because they didn't approach it in the cringe way they were like more like reviewing different black T-shirts, like $1 versus a $500 black T-shirt.
Right.
That would have been way more viral as a format. But I don't know. I think when you're beginning, it's good to get these like creative ideas out there, just so you can exhaust all your bad ideas and you can eventually get to the good ones.
Get to the good ones. So no Hafu Go black T-shirts on merch, huh? We're not gonna get that. Are we gonna get that? I mean, that could be kind of fire. That could be kind of fire.
Yeah,
merch.
that'd be fun, huh?
Anyway, we thank you so much for joining us, Hafu. We're going to have links for his channels and everything in the description and the show notes for the audio podcast listeners. Hafu, anything you want to tell these content creators before we go today?
Yeah, I want to say, I think you just got to keep making more videos, like I said. Just keep making more videos, learn from each one. And I am hiring.
Hey!
So if
What are you hiring for? Wait a minute.
If you want to work behind the scenes on YouTube, if you don't want to be in front of the camera, please reach out to me via the email that he'll leave in the description.
I 100% know you will get people reaching out to you. That goes without saying. We have some very hungry creators out there right now.
Yeah, I'm hiring for editors and ideation people.
Amazing. Well, listen, this might be your opportunity. You never know. Listening to the podcast could change your life, and we're here to do that for you every single week here on the podcast. We'll see you guys and gals in the next one.